Hello, it is I, Dharma, also known as the Entertainer, also known as Yoda Pride Queen, and welcome back again today, folks. And today I really have an interesting one that ties in quite a few different elements. So let's go ahead and get started. So, if you don't know by now, YT is a podcast where I talk about all sorts of pride/LGBTQIA+ stuff, things relating to manifestation, Reiki, tarot, things like that, and just all sorts of astrological, spiritual, and lovey-dovey goodness. And today I really wanted to talk about something that I've recently been learning a lot about personally. And that is, don't put your happiness into something or somebody else's hands. Now, let me explain this. You see, a lot of times, I don't know about in other places, but a lot of times in the good old US of A, the typical American dream is to have all of the things. To be able to afford things such as fancy fish eggs or caviar, sorry, forgot the name of it. To be able to afford things such as caviar or Wagyu steak or whatever the current fashionable food trend is, or just something like that. Or maybe the best sports car, like a Lamborghini or, a Ferrari or something of that nature. Oftentimes, what is advertised as the American dream is having all of the things, having the mansion, having the car, having the income, having the all sorts of things, I think that's part of the reason why things such as lotto tickets or lottery tickets are so popular, is because, a chance at striking it big, especially for a lot of people who think they can't strike it big, is a dream. And the thing is a lot of people put their happiness out there. They're putting their happiness into the hands of these objects, of these things, thinking that while they may not be happy with themselves or with their house or with their family or with their relationships right now, that if they just achieve that thing, it will make them happy. And what a lot of people end up finding out is that it doesn't. And oftentimes these things can even launch them into deeper debt. Now, I don't exactly know the exact statistics and numbers and things like that, but I have heard that oftentimes after a lot of people, especially in the United States of America, end up earning such big lottos, they spend it to the point of where the money's all gone within a year or even less. And I'm sorry about the audio quality shift, my microphone just died and I really need to create this video. But, it's one of those things where it's quite disheartening to see somebody put all of their happiness and all of their hard work and all of their love into an object only for that object to ultimately, essentially, screw them over. And this is something that can also happen with people as well, especially when it comes to intimate/romantic relationships. We, some of us start saying things like, "Oh, you make me so happy when you come around," or "I need you around to keep me happy," or things like that. And there are a bunch of other lovey-dovey quotes like this that sound a lot better and a lot more poetic than this, but really they come from a root of, essentially, I can't be happy, or I can't achieve my goals, or I can't have the best life without you, which is something that can become very straining on a relationship and can ultimately be the downfall of that relationship or just that person in general who's saying those things. It may sound poetic and beautiful and like a love song on the outside, but on the inside you're just reaffirming to yourself that you truly cannot be happy without this person. And if this person were to do something bad to you or bad to something else or just something bad in general, that you couldn't leave them because they are the source of your happiness. Now, of course, this is on one of the extreme ends of things, but these things do happen, and it's been seen time and time again when they do. So it's very important to have the proper mindset when having a relationship with an object or a person. When it comes to an object, remember that it's just an object. It all depends on what you do with it. And something that may seem worth a heck of a lot right now may not actually be worth anything when you get it for yourself. Other people may have these fancy, cool, fast drives in a Lamborghini down the countryside, but you may not have that same experience, or you just may not like that experience at all. Maybe you prefer a slower paced road or slower paced car, or maybe you come to find out that your current car was better than any old Lamborghini or something of that nature. Now, I personally don't know a whole lot about cars, but that's just an example. Entrusting all of your happiness into an object is ultimately going to lead to failure because of one of, I think, three things. First, it's not going to be what you thought it was. From afar, things look like sparkling, shining gold, but up close, you may find yourself to be the fool. Number two, yet again, when you're living in a society such as the United States of America, a lot of worth is placed on objects and what type of objects you have. So societal pressures may also lead you to wanting something that you internally don't want, and may in fact convince yourself internally that you do want it, kind of leading you to essentially mask even your internal monologue with lies. And then the last thing is that a lot of people forget objects are just objects. Objects can be a mark of great milestones in one's life. For example, for an entrepreneur, being able to make $50,000 a month or something is pretty good, and being able to use that money or just that leftover money to buy, let's say, a new big screen TV, that's still a good accomplishment. But don't lean on that too heavy don't lean on it so heavily that you tie your self-worth as a person to it. It's one of those things where you have to separate your financial worth from your personal worth. Who you are as a person and the good and bad things you do have nothing to do with how much money you make. Plenty of amazing, extraordinary, wonderful people make millions of dollars, and plenty of evil, scheming, backstabbing people also make millions of dollars. So you should not go by the number of your finances. But yeah, so now let's talk about tying your happiness to people. Now, a lot of times we'd like to think that people are going to be in our lives forever. And, a lot of things happen between now and forever. People pass away, for one thing. We all know at least one grandfather or grandmother that's passed away, or perhaps a pet or a friend, or maybe even a sibling or a parent. Another thing is when it comes to friendships or platonic relationships, what could seem like a friendship to last forever one moment could be crumbling down the next. Now, I'm not saying you should be paranoid of all of your friendships, especially if they've been long-term friendships, but do remember that the human brain is complicated, and it may make dumb decisions, such as ending a friendship at any time. Now, of course, if they're a really good person that you deserve to have as a friend, they will come back to you or apologize or immediately realize what they've done in the moment and apologize, depending on the situation, of course. But yeah. Another thing is that with romantic relationships, yet again, we often put our happiness into those relationships because of the fact that it's just so easy to. Somebody that you love coming home to you at the end of a long work day, or you both coming home to each other at the end of a long work day, could be something very amazing and very loving. But you have to keep in mind to not put all of your chips on the table. Do not become dependent on them for all of your happiness. You need to be able to find the happiness in other aspects of your life on your own before you put any of your happiness on another person. It's very important that you come into your own and that you're able to find happiness on your own, separate from anybody else, before you enter into a romantic or platonic or familial relationship where you want to put a little bit of happiness, extra happiness on that person. And this is just for your own good mental health. And I understand that a lot of people out there are struggling with this, or are struggling with conquering this, or something of that nature, and my heart truly does go out to you. But it's one of those fundamental things that you have to understand about being in any kind of relationship. I just specify romantic/intimate ones because this is where this occurs the most. So it's one of those where you just have to keep in mind that yes, you can be extra happy when somebody comes around, but that's the key thing there, is the word extra in front of it. You're not just happy when somebody comes around, you're extra happy. Because the thing is the word extra implies that there's now more of it, not that it wasn't there at all before. And this is very important to keep in your mentality, is that, when somebody comes around that you really like or you really love, that's extra happiness, or that's extra love. Because all of these things, happiness, love, self-worth, confidence, sweetness, believing you're beautiful, believing you're pretty, thinking that you will look nice today, things like that, all of this has to come from within first before you can take that from somebody else. Because, like I said before, it's good to have extra happiness and to have extra fun and to have and feel extra smart with somebody else, but you've got to feel that for yourself first. Otherwise, you're doing a disservice to yourself, because you're not believing in yourself fully. You're not trusting yourself fully. Things like that, which ultimately damages your own conscious and subconscious, making it a spiral that's very easy to fall further down into. And two, you're doing a disservice to the people around you, because oftentimes this is where a lot of negativity and toxicness comes into a lot of relationships, where somebody does not fully believe in themselves and their own capabilities first. I believe this is where a lot of toxic relationships stem from, especially from the person who's being toxic. The person being toxic may or may not be doing so intentionally, and whether or not it is intentional, I think it comes from a genuine place of not believing that they're enough. Whether it's not believing they're smart enough, or pretty enough, or wonderful enough, or whatever it is, I think it stems from a place of thinking that you're not enough, whether or not they're aware of it consciously or not. So it's one of those things where you don't necessarily let people off the hook or give them a break or whatever. That's not what I'm saying, but try to recognize this within your own self, and whenever you start beating yourself down, bring yourself back up. If not for yourself, then for the other people around you that you love, you know. You wouldn't want to do them dirty like that, now would you? So yeah, just keep all of this in mind, that it's basically what I'm saying here is it's important to love yourself first before loving other things and other people. The love that comes from other things and other people is extra love. It's added on top of the love that you already have for yourself, which is fundamental to just living life to the fullest. But, yeah, if you would like to see some more from me, there's some links in the description down below. The first one is to my other podcast, Write What You Want to Read, Draw What You Want to See. That's all about my professional digital art and novel writing. The second link is to my Redbubble shop, Rainbowrific, where the main highlight is all of the gay stuff over there, pins and pins and pins. And the last link is to my course, The Secrets to Digital Art with ProCreate course, which yet again is about more digital art goodness. You can even see some of my speed paints using the app on this channel. So if you'd like to see what all ProCreate can do, go ahead and check those out. And yeah, I'll be seeing you all in the next one.